Okay, so how would we react if we could light the water coming out of our faucets and our home was on fire? I don't know about any of you, but I'd be be appalled. I'd be like, I was going to drink that. That's okay. So that was one of the things that the advocate said that the opponents use to go against fracking. He also said that opponents of fracking say that it causes earthquakes and contaminates water supplies. And then he said that all these claims are just way overblown. And then he didn't elaborate on it, and he just went on to say only the good things about fracking. Okay, now I agree that the earthquake thing was overblown because the earthquakes caused by fracking only occur in the area, and they're only like 2.0, 3.0 on the Richter scale, and those you can't really feel. But the other ones he should have elaborated on. So his main claim was that fracking to get natural gas does more good for America than bad, and his three supporting claims were: 1, fracking helps the economy; 2, fracking helps protect national security; and 3, fracking is a mature process that results in fuel better for the environment than fossil fuels. Okay. So the first one, fracking helps the economy. This one he goes on to say that, you know, fracking helps us get natural gas, and because of that, we're getting more energy here in America, which means we're more energy independent, which is a good thing. And of course, if we did it on a nationwide scale, we'd create many more jobs, which is also good. But I'm going to say that the harm fracking causes to the environment in its current state outweighs its benefit to the economy. Okay, so what is fracking? According to the Environmental Protection Agency, it's drilling and injecting fluid into the ground at high pressure to fracture shale rocks to release natural gas inside. And this is done thousands of feet below the ground. And currently we drill 35,000 wells a year, and for each of the wells we need 400 tanker trucks to carry water and supplies to and from the site. So that's using a lot of gas. And 1 to 8 million gallons of water are used for each fracturing job. And what's in the fracking fluid itself? Well, as the advocate said, it's water, sand, and chemicals. But what are the chemicals? The EPA says the chemicals include lead, uranium, mercury, formaldehyde, hydrochloric acid, bad things. And after the fluid is drilled below, only 30–50% of it is recovered, and the rest is left in the ground to just sit there. It's not biodegradable. And as far as the fluid that we do recover, near the site, we just leave them in open pits to evaporate, releasing harmful compounds into the air, causing smog and acid rain. Okay. And during the process, methane gas and toxic chemicals leach out of the system, contaminate the groundwater. The best example is in 2010 in Dimmock, Pennsylvania. The EPA found that residents had over double the safe limit of methane in their drinking water. It could catch on fire. And 2010 is 3 years ago, but as the advocate said, this is a 60-year-old process, so 3 years ago is actually very recent. Okay, second supporting claim was that fracking for natural gas protects national security. And what he means by this is fracking here gets us more energy here, which means we need less energy overseas, so we need less military overseas to protect what we need. I pretty much agree with that, but as I said from the first one, I really don't think it's worthy of the current harm it does to the economy and multiple safety, health, and environmental hazards. Okay, so the third one, the last one, was that fracking is a mature process that results in fuel better for the environment than fossil fuels. Well, I'm going to say it's not. While it is true that natural gas, the actual burning of natural gas is better for the environment than burning fossil fuels, the process to get there it makes it just as, if not worse than fossil fuel. So 35,000 wells a year means 5 trillion gallons of water per year, plus billions of gallons of chemicals. Natural gas is mostly methane, or more important greenhouse gas. But okay, Dr. sorry, Dr. Robert Howard of Cornell University said that 8% of methane in shale gas leaks into the air during a well's lifetime, twice the amount of methane produced in conventional gas production. Okay, and on top of that, fracking drill rigs require 1,000 gallons of diesel fuel to run, and of course, contaminates water supplies, and the fracking fluid evaporates into the air. Okay, and okay, to conclude, 300,000 barrels of natural gas produced a day from fracking, but at the price of a number of environmental safety and health hazards. I agree that fracking would be good for the economy on a national scale, but before we get there, it has to be made better and safer for the environment. So his main claim was that fracking to get natural gas does more good for America than bad. I say that it does more bad than good.
All right, well, you've got a mixture of arguments that you mostly dismiss or accept, and then some specifics that you're criticizing. At the beginning, you do an okay summary of what the advocate's claims are, telling us what the main points are going to be. Ultimately, you kind of grant the second point, so there's not going to be much dispute about that. Then the argument becomes on the first and the last point whether or not there's some economic harm or some environmental damage that is significant enough for us to worry about. I think that you have some good information that would build an argument there about the number of wells, about the amount of water that we use, about how those things don't always get recycled and they end up in the environment. But I do think that you need some stronger information that suggests that there's a problem, for instance, with allowing those materials to evaporate in the atmosphere, or that there is some potential danger from allowing some of those materials to remain underground once they've been used to do the fracking. It just seems to be a presupposition that there's something wrong with those things. The only example of anything that is close to being something that's bad is the one place in Pennsylvania where they did have the fire water, and they have double levels of methane. And you need a clear connection to the fracking issue on that. I'm not sure that you've established that that's a consequence of fracking here. Other than that, it just sounds like it uses a lot of water, and not all of the waste that goes into that process is taken out of the environment. Well, you need to tell us what's dangerous about that stuff being in the environment, and you need to tell us that the water usage, for instance, is problematic in some way. I think that those are underdeveloped, and that's really where your argument goes on those first and third points. On the second point on national security, I think that you could probably diminish this argument a little bit. The idea that we're going to be able to replace oil, for instance, from overseas with natural gas that we're using here makes big assumptions about how we're going to develop our economy in the future, and I'm not sure that there's a reason to believe that that's going to happen quickly, and I'm not sure that it diminishes our need to protect the oil resources that we have to use already. So I think that there are some ways to address this issue without automatically conceding it to the advocate on that point. So I think you need to sharpen up your explanations on the claims and make sure that the evidence demonstrates the harm more. That's basically the counterclaim that you're working on, and it needs to be a little clearer. All right, thank you.